You've talked about building an experimentation framework as a core part of Maven's 90-day sprint. Most SaaS companies say they A/B test, but few have a real system. What does a functioning experimentation program look like in a B2B SaaS context where sample sizes are small, sales cycles are long, and you can't just split test a mobile app? What's the minimum viable experimentation setup you'd recommend, and how do you handle the statistical significance when you only have a few hundred visitors per variant?
One of the things that I think people should continue to borrow from mobile is this sort of product experimentation A/B stuff, right? Where if you go into most mobile games or pretty much any mobile product that's like of any significant size, there is going to be an A/B test going on at any given moment. They are just constantly testing and constantly iterating. And there is an element of that with SaaS, but like not to the same degree where you're changing like significant aspects of it, from full look of the dashboards to like, you know, any kind of look or feel, or brand testing or that kind of stuff as well. They tend to be a little bit more on the like, we've got this thing, so we need to see if, you know, does pricing move the needle at all a little bit. It's like, well, probably like the last venue you want to actually be testing on. But there's just a lot there to be kind of picked up. So for the paid media side, that to me is definitely where ICP tends to be like the biggest compass that a lot of these companies use in order to determine where they're going to put their ad and who they're targeting and all that, and how they connect it to the product. And so that was one of the ones where you're going to have to like really get into creative. You're really going to get into like landing page and conversion optimization. You have to like do a lot of testing on that front. And all of those lend themselves to A/B testing, right? If you don't have a creative testing framework as part of your spend at any level, especially at the early levels, but like any level, like a percentage of your budget should be going to just testing on any given month. And if that sounds crazy, your competitors are already ahead of you, right? Like they're definitely doing this. And you know, in an era where like quantity of creative is one of the biggest things, like you need to know what you're making rather than just spewing random stuff out there and hoping it works. Like there should be a systematic scientific process to, these are the 3 ICPs we're targeting, 3 variants, 3 hooks, right? Like we're going to go through and we're going to test all of that, and we'll make sure that at least a significant percentage of these are heading in the right direction. And that doesn't mean you have to take months or years to like figure that out. Like it's one of those things where within 2 weeks you should probably know if you set this up right, or less. Like, you know, obviously smaller sample pools and like, you know, you kind of have to let it filter through. So you need a process too in order to kind of keep tracking these as time goes on. From a paid marketing perspective, where like that lead or MQL might not even register for a month or two, then the contract has to close. And if it's a huge contract, like one of those corporate ones, you're looking at 9 months later, and like, we got the green light. But that's kind of how, that's the scientific systematic part, right? Like this is science experiment A, we're doing this, we're doing it this period of time, we're expecting these folks to come in, and we're going to track it all the way along. And the people who are first touch here, we're going to not take all the credit, but this will be part of the, looking at that journey that person took from first touch all the way through to close contract. So that's part one. I think the landing pages is another thing, right? That's really about communicating on and kind of making good on the ad that you had, right? And ads kind of, they send a message, they are telling you about the product. You're definitely kind of setting expectations that when they click through, that expectation should be continued. It should be like the next part of the story you already started beginning to tell. And then if they're not closing there or they're not submitting their info, find out why. There should be user interviews, or you should be talking to your audience and that kind of stuff as well, right? There's definitely a multitude of ways you can gather feedback, both through sort of like impersonal ways with just basic surveys to, you know, like do user sessions, like literally just grab people off the street. Check this out. Sounds nuts, but like that's one of those things where like I've done it before when we were in San Francisco, like grabbing people off the street, obviously a little bit more tech focused being an SF, but like, you know, just grabbing people off the street and asking like what they thought of like as a mobile game. You get instant feedback. Is it useful? Well, it depends on the feedback they give you, right? But like, you know, at least it's a step in the right direction. If you're not doing any of that, then like you're not really getting any feedback on what you're doing.